Okay, so now we're going to talk about the Cox Medical Center theory. In 2007, reporter Kathy Baird and engineer Rick Norland scanned a section of the south parking garage at the Cox Medical Center South after a tip claimed that the women were buried beneath it. So Norland used ground penetrating radar and found three anomalies that were literally consistent with grave size disturbances. The tipster, who reportedly claimed to have had a psychic vision and or dream, could not provide any corroborating evidence, obviously. So because construction didn't begin until over a year after the disappearance, and obviously because of the cost it would incur, police declined to excavate the garage. So honestly, to me, I'm just really shocked by the whole thing. It's pretty wild that they actually found something that looked like it could be a grave, and they supposedly really, really want to solve this case, but they're not even going to put any sort of effort into it. I mean, that definitely does seem strange. All right, so I am going to address the motorcycle gang that was mentioned in my TikTok comments. I do have one more piece to talk about before that, and that'll come next. So before disappearing, Suzie had given police information on a former boyfriend of hers named Dustin Rekla and his two friends. It was rumored that she might testify against him, which I think if you give an affidavit, you're kind of going to. Whether that's connected or not, it's still unclear, but it was on a grave robbing case over literally $30 worth of gold, so I don't know. Stephen Garrison, however, as far as I found in my research, is a man that's connected to this local motorcycle gang, and he had come forward in 1993, claiming that he overheard a man confessing to killing all three women at a drug party and disposing of their bodies at a hog farm in West Webster County. So for some reason, the police believed that he had information that wasn't available to the public. It's unclear why. However, in my opinion, given there were up to 20 people in the house, anybody could really have any information. So I don't know. But Garrison's connection to the motorcycle gang adds a layer of complexity. There was speculation that maybe some gang members might have been involved. I guess obviously that's horsehair speculation, or at least they were aware of this disappearance. However, there's really no concrete evidence that I've been able to find that was linked to the case. Definitely let me know. He ultimately, with his cooperation, earned a lower bond and temporary housing in a hotel, which of course he then later fled from, broke into a woman's house, attacked her. She survived, testified against him. That was all she wrote about him. But the legal status as far as the case goes is Sherrill and Suzie were declared legally dead in 1997, but Stacy's mother refuses to do the same until her daughter's body is found, which is definitely understandable. Sunshine Law, FOIA requests, repeatedly denied. Missouri doesn't offer administrative appeals for record denials. Weird. You have to sue. And even then, the local Reddit users say others have tried and failed. Some of the online gatekeeping, in my opinion, is really extreme. Mention any kind of new theory, and you're immediately told it's all been covered, you better catch up. I mean, one user literally went as far as to say the police own the case. I mean, cool, but that doesn't really mean that the public shouldn't question it. That's kind of why we have these laws. There's also been a long-standing tension between the police and the actual local community of Springfield. Law enforcement even cited the community's early involvement and the contamination at the crime scene as a reason the case remains unresolved. I mean, they're both right, they're both wrong, you know? So just to run through, again, the main kind of theories. Targeted abduction by a known offender. The FBI profile that was created supports that. Clean scene, no struggle. They were lured out or ambushed, possibly by somebody they knew. Could have been sexually motivated. I mean, three women in general, right? Potentially, there are multiple crime scenes. Women were taken elsewhere. The Delmar house was staged. That could explain the lack of physical evidence. That kind of goes along with what my theory is. Gravedigger theory. A man with a grave robbing history, ex-boyfriend. I don't know. There's even weird speculation about him on the internet about his dead future wife. I don't know. Anybody in these people's lives could have snapped. It doesn't explain how this scene was so spotless, though. Any of the theories we've already discussed would work. Drug retaliation is thrown around on the internet. There's no serious connection to this, but it's thrown around. So the roadblocks in this case, let's be honest, this case isn't unsolved because it's uncrackable. It's unsolved because, in my opinion, the crime scene was contaminated. Police haven't been the most forward what's going on, including what was found on that farm in 1993. Laws for open records are being used as a shield, not how they're supposed to be. And the sleuths online that are looking into this are not really working together. They're kind of working against, you know? I mean, they might be trying to solve it, but not together. And that's not really how things work. Here's where I want to get a little personal with my take on the timeline and the key players. If I'm remembering correctly from my research, Suzie and Stacy left that party in East Hanover. They were following or with Janelle Kirby on the way to her house. When they got there, even though the plan was to stay there, the place was packed. So they turned around, said bye to Janelle, went to their house. That would mean Janelle would be the last person who actually saw them. And she was the first person to step foot in Suzie's house the next morning. So what if something happened before the girls made it back to the house? what if they never got inside at all? Or what if they did, but maybe it was some sort of ploy by whoever was involved to draw the mother out or to set up the scene? Even if Janelle herself was completely innocent, what if it was her boyfriend, another friend? They didn't know what was going on until it was too late. Or maybe they were both involved in staging the scene the next morning, moving cars, placing belongings, and then calling people to the scene to make sure that it looked a certain way publicly. So regardless of what the police did, a lot of people would be saying, no, this is how I remember it. And remember, the front door was unlocked. If somebody wanted to come back and stay at the scene or manipulate it, leaving doors unlocked would make sense. Of course, doors unlocked during that time period generally makes sense. Also, the shattered porch light could be a red herring, or it could be something that's made up after the fact. We don't even really know if the police actually retained any evidence to prove that that ever actually happened other than their word. It's possible that the girls were never really home that night, or that they were under some sort of coercion, following some sort of instructions. Or maybe there's a larger conspiracy. Maybe other community members or friends were involved in the situation, not just the few I just mentioned. I don't know. That's just my take from looking at this from my first-time perspective. But this case definitely deserves a fresh investigation and new eyes, and some actual public pressure, not the kind where we're like, the police are never going to do this. Physical evidence may be gone, but that doesn't mean the case has to be cold. Justice for the Springfield 3 is probably not going to start in a lab. It starts with asking the harder questions. Like, how would this case have been solved back then? That's how it's probably going to be solved now, because evidence wasn't collected back then like it would have been now. So even if this crime scene had not been contaminated, we still would be SOL, to be honest with you. So it really starts with those officially working on the case actually coming together with sleuths, advocates in the community, stuff like that, because a lot of these older cases are getting progress and are gaining traction actually towards the goal. And it may unfortunately need to be accepted that no one may ever actually see charges on this case, as much as we at least get some sort of closure. Because by the time it is found out what actually happened, whoever actually did it may not even be alive anymore. So I think the goal kind of needs to, in my opinion, pivot to, can we just figure this out? Can we just bring their remains or whatever may be left home? I appreciate it, guys.